The next Ghost Recon spared cancellation, but won't launch until 2025, says Insider according to metro.co.uk. Amid cancellations of multiple games at Ubisoft, it's suggested that its next Ghost Recon game, which we know that it's also been a code name for the game, is Ghost Recon Over, has been pushed back by a couple more years. In the last video on Ghost Recon, we saw a report on how the next Ghost Recon game may even arrive as early as late 2023 or early 2024. However, now it looks like it's unfortunately been pushed back a long way. No new Ghost Recon game has been actually announced yet, but it was soon reported that one could launch during Ubisoft's 2023 fiscal year, meaning it'll be out by the end of this March at the very latest. Considering that's only 2 months away now, that seemed increasingly unlikely, and it's since been claimed that the next Ghost Recon isn't scheduled until 2025. Now, I don't think there was anyone who expected it to come out in March 2023, but definitely I expected something by the end of the year, maybe something. I thought there was a strong likelihood anyway, but definitely during like the holiday 2023 seemed perfect alongside a Far Cry 6 spin-off game, which is apparently not in the works also, which I did make a separate video about, as Ubisoft are now, or the new head of the Far Cry franchise is now working on Far Cry 7 and also a spin-off multiplayer game. Industry insider Tom Henderson, who was asked if the reports of a 2023 Ghost Recon game were true, responded with forecasted for 2025 or so. Aside from suggesting that the game has been internally delayed, this points to the next Ghost Recon not being one of the games Ubisoft opted to cancel recently, which is also a great thing. I'm so glad that this Ghost Recon game wasn't cancelled, and it was a strong likelihood that it could have been cancelled, especially with the performance of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Indeed, a report yesterday suggested that the reason for many of the delays was to add additional polish, which was responsible for pushing many games back by 1 or 2 years, which may be what has happened to the new Ghost Recon. Skull and Bones has already been delayed again to an unspecified date, and Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora could be pushed back into 2024, which would be its, I think, second massive delay for the Avatar game, which was originally supposed to come out. Well, the plans were to have it released alongside Avatar: The Way of the Water. There were never any details confirmed or rumored about the next Ghost Recon, but given Ubisoft's track record, we suspected it would be another online-only title, or at the very least feature live service elements like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. However, it sounds like Ubisoft may be re-evaluating its strategy, since it's admitted about the games it cancelled were not what gamers wanted. So the 2-year delay could be due to Ubisoft adopting a new direction for the Ghost Recon that players will be more receptive to. So it seems to me that Ubisoft is really re-evaluating its games in development. We talked about in one of my previous videos on how Ubisoft had a dozen battle royale games in development at once, because Ubisoft have become trend chasers rather than trendsetters, as they were back in the early years and their peak in 2007 to 2010. Now, a majority of these cancelled games must have been the battle royale games, and they have seen that the model in place for Valhalla and Far Cry 6 have been working, and they were the very successful titles for Ubisoft, even though they were both especially Valhalla was one of the most boring games I've ever played in my life. And do you know what game came along and really stomped on these Ubisoft formulaic titles that show no creativity and really just want you to play for as long as possible so you can buy their microtransactions? Elden Ring. Elden Ring came along and showed players that this is how you make an open world game in terms of explorability, characters, depth, and artistic vision. Also, the new model for AC looks very promising, as Ubisoft will cater to a lot of different audiences with different games and not just one big open world RPG trying to cram everything into it to be suitable for everyone. That's why Valhalla was a mess. I hope this model is successful for the sake of Ghost Recon franchise and also the other Ubisoft franchises. In 2025, we should hopefully be getting this open world non-RPG Ghost Recon game, as I think they may take out this leveling system on weapons for the next game, as many people did not enjoy it, and I think the more realistic experience is appreciated, especially with these new indie games coming onto the scene like Ready or Not, 0 Hour, making a splash in the tactical gaming scene. After Ghost Recon Over is released, at that same time, if it is scheduled or if it does actually release within 2025, we should be getting our first Assassin's Creed Infinity game, which will probably be the codename Red. And at that time, we can get a sense of whether or not this is a model that can stick around and be adapted into other franchises. Then we can hopefully get multiple iterations of Ghost Recon, like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 3 and Future Soldier 2, alongside the open world Ghost Recon games that I personally enjoy a lot, all linked within an Infinity style hub. Also, the team behind Breakpoint did a great job in a post-launch support for Breakpoint with Operation Motherland, the Terminator DLC, the Amber Sky DLC, and even a Lara Croft Gear Quest. I think they put a lot of time into making it a very enjoyable game, and they never gave up on it, even adding full customizability of world settings to allow players to play any way they want. So I'm really excited for this brand new Ghost Recon game. Again, it's set to be launched in 2025 now. It is an unfortunate delay, but it's something we're going to have to deal with. I mean, there's a lot of games coming out in the meantime, and especially with these games like 0 Hour and Ready or Not, and if you haven't checked those out, I definitely recommend you guys to go ahead and check that out. They're right now currently only available on PC, but that would get you by for the next couple of years until the next Ghost Recon game is out, and perhaps more tactical games within the single player market, which I personally enjoy. I'm not really a fan of the multiplayer stuff, but the single player stuff is what I really enjoy. And hopefully also we're also going to be getting a Splinter Cell remake from Ubisoft as well. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.